All right, we brought you win now wide receivers a couple days ago, and now we're gonna bring you win now running backs.
Here we go.
Okay, if you are competing, you got a window that's open now. You want to win a championship. You want a little bit of depth in that running back room. Maybe some starters in that running back room. We're gonna bring you 2 players each that we believe are a good buy right now, and I'll go first, and that is Tony Pollard.
Oh boy! All right. Here we go.
I have talked about Tony Pollard a lot on live streams. And I'm excited to finally do a video about him. Last year, Tony Pollard was the running back 28, finished with over 1,000 all-purpose yards, while on the ground averaging 5.5 yards per carry, which was extremely efficient. By the way, I believe that was 5th best amongst running backs in the NFL.
Right.
Every time he touched the ball, I mean, it looked like he was more explosive than Zeke. And every touch that he had, he did something special with it. Let's talk about why I think he's a good trade target for your win now teams. Firstly, he's being continually more and more involved in this offense, right? Since Pollard was drafted, he's continually earned more and more opportunities in this Dallas offense. Part of that's been how efficient he has been with all of his touches, and the other part has probably been Zeke kind of starting to slow down a little bit and struggling in the last year or so.
Okay.
So I looked at 2019 to 2021 because 2019 was Tony Pollard's first year. And I looked at 2 different categories in particular, okay? Snap percentage per game. All right, you'll see that on your screen now. You can see Tony Pollard in blue, Zeke in red. In 2019, you saw Zeke over there, 84% of the snaps. And you can see each year it goes down, 71.
Right.
Last year, 65% of the snaps. And then you can also see there's a correlation there because Tony Pollard is getting on the field more and more and more every single year. I mean, what could that snap percentage look like this year? Could that be a true 60-40? I think it's very much in the cards for Tony Pollard to be on the field 40% of the time of the snaps for this team. Let's talk about touches per game. So Zeke has been, off the field more. Has it affected his touches, right? And has Pollard in return gotten more opportunities? Well, yes, you can see it on the screen as well. In 2019, Zeke was getting almost 23 and a half touches per game.
My goodness.
This is like the fantasy monster that we know Zeke. 2019 Zeke was prime. But then you can see it starts to drop off. In 2020, goes down to 21 touches a game. Then in 2021, down to 17 and a half touches per game almost. And you can see there's a correlation as well with Tony Pollard. His touches continue to rise each and every year. So it's obvious when watching the Cowboys games, I mean, put any game on from last year. Who was the better running back? And it was Tony Pollard, both in the analytics and with the eye test. So could this truly be a 50-50 workload? I don't know. I think we see maybe more of a 40-60 split, but if Tony Pollard was able to finish as the RB28 with 34% of the snaps, almost 35, what could he do with 40? What could he do with 41%? I mean, could he break in the top 24? I think that's a very realistic possibility. And this is a guy who can become a flex in RB2 for your team. And like I said, 5.5 yards per attempt. That is 5th best in the NFL. I mean, he's been very efficient with every single touch that he's given. Why would they not want to give him more opportunities if he continues to do that?
Right.
And the second thing I want to talk about is, what does the state of the running back market mean for this backfield in 2023? Okay, going into next year, into next offseason, what does the current state of the running back market in free agency mean? Okay, because Tony Pollard will be a free agent next year, and Zeke, in his contract, he has a potential out. Now, I don't think that when Dallas drafted Tony Pollard, they were aware that he could maybe be the heir apparent in this out for Zeke.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Zeke's deal actually got done after, so they wouldn't have. But the harsh reality of the running back position, guys, is it's just not prioritized by NFL teams, smart NFL teams, the way that it used to be prioritized, okay? Right. We don't really see superstar running backs get a bag at this point. I mean, go look at James Conner's contract this year. It's nothing crazy. Go look at Leonard Fournette. It's nothing crazy. I mean, these are guys who, were top 5 in the NFL in touchdowns in their position. I mean, for example, just a couple years ago, we were seeing Zeke, Dalvin Cook, CMC, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, all these guys getting huge deals.
Right.
And in my eyes, I think it could make much more sense for the Cowboys to actually re-sign Tony Pollard and cut Zeke. And maybe they get a rookie running back to kind of pair with Tony Pollard.
Oh, wow.
Because if we actually look at teams that are successful in the NFL, none of them are spending this much on the running back position. Okay, let's look at it. The Cowboys are currently spending the most out of any team in the NFL on the running back position. Okay, we're at $24.2 million right now. All right. Meanwhile, the Rams, who just won the Super Bowl, are spending the least amount on the running back position, $5.5 million. How about Tampa Bay? Okay, they won the Super Bowl the year before. Well, Tampa Bay is currently spending the sixth least amount on the running back position at $7.8 million. How about Kansas City? Who, if we go back another Super Bowl, they won it, 3 Super Bowls ago. Well, they're tied with Tampa Bay. They're only spending $7.8 million. Mm-hmm. So the last 3 teams who have made it to the Super Bowl aren't even spending over $8 million a year on the running back position.
Right.
And currently the Cowboys are spending over $24 million on the position. Is this long-term? Is this a long-term option? Is this going to bring long-term success? Zeke is already slowing down, right? And he's only going to get worse as he ages. I think that's just the reality of life. And I think it's possible that they could cut him. All right. Zeke is going to cost this team for the remainder of his contract, which is 4 years, $65 million on their cap.
Sheesh. Okay.
And last year of his contract, he will be 32 years old when he's a free agent. Okay. 32 years old as a free agent next. So could they cut him next offseason? They're going to have to make some really hard decisions because no team that's making the Super Bowl is going to be paying the running back position this much. I thought they would have made that decision already this offseason between Amari and Zeke. I thought you would have chose Amari, but they didn't.
Yeah, they chose Zeke.
But maybe they have to make this decision again next year. If they cut him, it would cost them around $11 million. Let me ask you, if you really want to extend Dak's window, if you really want to get the most out of Dak's window here, is it worth cutting Zeke and cutting your losses for $10 million, or do you want to pay him $65 million over the next 4 years, after this offseason? So I think this is a conversation that we have had before, but we've never had a chance to really dig deep into this, and it's a possibility. But let's say Zeke stays and Pollard leaves. I think he is a talented enough running back to find a really good role on another team, and the running back market, while it might suck for Pollard, it's great for us because teams aren't going to be hesitant to sign him because it's not going to cost all that much anymore. Yeah. So essentially, Pollard's playing lights out. Cowboys have been giving him more opportunities. Zeke's contract is really questionable after this year. So I think he's a great buy. And I don't think it's going to cost all that much. According to Keep Trade Cut and other crowdsourcing websites, a mid to late second in 2022, if you haven't done your rookie draft, that should get the job done.
Yeah,
but
I see that.
Here's some other players that you could try. Some of these deals are not going to get done, but Pollard and some of these other players, you don't know what your league thinks of them. How about Kareem Hunt? That's probably the most likely to the least likely is what I'm going to say. Ramondre Stevenson, Michael Carter, Devin Singletary, Melvin Gordon. Yeah. These are all players that you can try or at least start a conversation with. Maybe you send someone Devin Singletary for Tony Pollard and they say no. But here, I'll counter with a third and Singletary for Pollard. You don't know what sort of conversations can happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, I'm glad we finally got to talk about Pollard. I feel like I know that he's 25 years old. He just turned 25. But to me, he's not really taken a huge workload, so he doesn't worry me as much as a traditional workhorse running back who is aging a little bit more.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see what they do with Zeke. It's going to be crazy if they imagine getting that report. I think that would just be crazy. Yeah. In my eyes.
It's hard to justify paying almost $15 million to a 30-year-old running back. Yeah. We'll see.
It'll be tough.
They got to choose what they got to do. And that's in a couple of years, but I'm just projecting, what is the hard decisions they have to make.
My first win now running back is Damien Harris. This is a guy that I like, a guy that I had in multiple leagues this past year. Yep. RB14, just shy of 1,000 yards, 17 total touchdown. He didn't miss 2 games. Why is he a good win now running back that you guys should be targeting? Honestly, efficiency and opportunity. I'm going to give you a list of things that when I was researching Damien Harris, how efficient he is with his opportunity, okay? He had the 3rd most touchdowns amongst running backs. The Patriots also ran the ball the 8th most times amongst NFL teams.
Yeah.
Top 10. 9th in his team denominator rating, meaning the total yards and touchdowns that he provided for, or he got for his team. 8th in total game scripts, meaning the team is often leading in games. This New England Patriots team is good. I do believe that will continue into next year. I do believe they will continue to be leading games, which means still the same opportunity for Damien Harris should be coming in for him in this year, okay? They had the 10th best offensive line as well, which is great. And then from week 6 to 18, he was the RB8. He's a top 10 RB for more than half of the year. And when I look at this, why would you not want Damien Harris, okay? I know the biggest question mark and everything that everyone is saying is, what about all the 10 million running backs that the that the Patriots
what are they
drafted?
doing?
What are they doing?
Yeah.
They really only drafted 2. Pierre Strong in the 4th and Kevin Harris in the 6th. These guys, in my opinion, aren't guys that are going to be taking touches away from Damien Harris, okay? These are guys that, in my opinion, going to be special teams or just a depth piece just in case. However Bill Belichick wants to use him, they definitely can, all right? So what's crazy, and I was thinking about it, okay, it's like, okay, now you're probably thinking about, what about Ramondre Stevenson, okay?
Right.
So when I broke it down, Damien Harris was only on the field 41% of the time. It's not a lot. That's not even 50%, okay? Do you truly believe that Ramondre Stevenson is going to get immediately next year, he's going to get he's going to have 60% of that workload over Damien Harris? I don't believe so. I don't believe that Ramondre Stevenson is going to be going into that 41%. If anything, he's going to be taking the percentage from all those other running backs that past year that were on the field because of injuries or because of anything. And let me just remind you, Damien Harris only missed 2 games. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, he probably missed a couple games, probably missed more than 4 games. He only missed 2 games, okay? This team loves to run the ball. They will continue to run the ball. Another thing is, well, they drafted Tyquan Thornton as well. I'm not scared of Tyquan Thornton. I know he got drafted in the 2nd round. I don't believe he is somebody that is going to change this offense completely to where they're now switched to a pass offense. I think he is just somebody that can take the top off for them, someone that can streak down the field when they do maybe 4 wide, 3 wide. I don't see him really going and changing this offense, in my opinion. All right, if they drafted Treylon Burks or Pickens, then we can have a different conversation.
To be fair, I don't think any wide receiver is really hurting like their run game. I think that's still their identity.
Exactly. So this is the cheapest, I believe, a really good cheap opportunity for you to get Damien Harris. This is a guy that a lot of people are kind of fading. He's going super low in the 9th, 10th round Dynasty startups. You know, you can get Damien Harris for a mid to late 2nd right now. That's nothing. Yeah. You know, mid to late 2nd, and especially in this year's class, I'm willing to give that up, especially if I'm win now contending. Why not, if you have 2 2nd round picks, why not just lock up the backfield? Why not say, you know what, let me get Ramondre Stevenson and Damien Harris, because Ramondre Stevenson is worth a 2nd round pick. Maybe you can throw some other players around, have a conversation, see where you can go, but don't worry about these other running backs. Don't worry about Ramondre Stevenson. Damien Harris, I mean, he finished top 15 with only 41% of the carries. He was RB1 in this team. I think this is a perfect opportunity for you to get Damien Harris, and I love what they're doing there in New England. They're going to continue to run the ball, so I am not scared of anyone else on this team, so get Damien Harris.
All right. I like it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say a name, and I don't want you guys to cringe when I say this name, all right? Because I think this player has left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, okay?
Okay. Uh-oh.
But he's my 2nd win now running back trade target, and that is Miles Sanders. Let's take a journey, baby. Let's take a journey. Last year was the RB 44, okay? Had 754 rushing yards on 5.5 yards per carry. If you look at like the decimal percentage, he's actually slightly better than Tony Pollard per touch. So that would make him the 4th best running back on yards per carries in the NFL. He did not score a touchdown, as we know. However, he missed 5 games, and 5 games is huge. So who knows what would have happened in those 5 games.
Right.
But let me tell you why I think he's a good win now trade target. Number 1 is efficiency with his touches. Okay. I'm going to say this, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but Miles Sanders was one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL last year. Okay. And that's what I'm bringing to you today. 2 really efficient running backs who I think could get more opportunities next year. True yards per carry, third in the NFL for Miles Sanders. That puts a premium on consistency, okay, from Player Profiler. True yards per carry, third in the NFL. Yards per touch, just per touch, 10th in the NFL for any player, okay? How about breakaway run rate? Say that 3 times fast. That is the percentage of his carries that went for 15 or more yards. He was 5th in the NFL. So Miles Sanders had the third highest true yards per carry, but he finished RB 44. Like, how does this line up? Well, he was only 36th in the NFL in carries.
Right.
A lot of that is contributed to the fact that he missed 5 whole games. So if you take his average carries per game and you extend that to a 17-game series, he would have had the 19th most carries in the NFL. So still, that's not like top 15 in carries. You have to keep in mind the status of this offense. Jalen Hurts runs the ball a lot, right? So that's going to take away from Miles Sanders slightly. But with the 19th most carries in the NFL and someone who is the, as far as true yards per carry, the third best in the NFL last year,
right?
I think he could do some real damage with that. So he's been extremely efficient, but he's been injured. So I keep looking at Miles Sanders, and I know we have said it in a lot of years, but man, if he could just stay healthy, what could we really see from Miles Sanders? And by the way, this team didn't draft anyone. This team, they signed, Kennedy Brooks, but they didn't draft a single running back this year in the draft. So it feels like to me, this depth chart is safe. And I like the snap percentages that he had in each of his starts as well. But he's just been so unlucky, man. The good thing about Miles Sanders, he has not had a significant career injury in the pros, okay? He's only had knick-knack injuries. Similar to someone like maybe Joe Mixon, okay? I'm going to make a slight comparison here, but I want you to just calm down and stay with me for a second, guys. All right? So Joe Mixon, I keep asking myself, man, he was a player last year that we all said, if this offense can get going, if it's an ascending offense, and they can just score the ball more times, how many touchdowns could Joe get? The year before in 2020, Joe Mixon had 3 touchdowns. Last year, he had 13. Okay, to be fair, Jalen Hurts will never be Joe Burrow. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are not as good as Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But I think it's reasonable to have an expectation if Miles Sanders can play every single game this year, it's reasonable to say that he can go from 0 touchdowns to 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's a very realistic number, and that raises his ceiling quite significantly for you. I'm not saying that he's going to finish with double-digit touchdowns. I'm not saying he's going to lead the league in touchdowns, but if he can go from 0 touchdowns to 5, I mean, all of a sudden, if he's playing every single game, we're talking about potentially a top 20 running back. And that's not the sexiest thing to say, but it's within a real possibility. We're also talking about a team that ran the ball more than any other team in the NFL last year. So the offense is going to have to change. Jalen Hurts is going to have to adjust because we have a full season of tape on Jalen Hurts now. And I think Miles Sanders is going to be a really, really key part of this team. By the way, let's say he didn't score a single touchdown last year, but he still played all 17 games. If we take his stats and we extrapolate that to a 17-game season, he would have finished RB 26, right ahead of Elijah Mitchell, okay? And that's not adding a single touchdown. So, of course, he has been injured. Injuries have been a part of his career. But what if he can stay healthy next year? And this ascending Eagles offense is scoring the ball more and more. I see money signs here for Miles Sanders. Just turned 25 years old, very talented. This is someone who can absolutely be an RB2 on your squad. And by the way, Miles Sanders cost significantly less than Tony Pollard, according to crowdsourcing. For whatever reason, I mean, I like Tony Pollard, but Miles Sanders, who was, I believe, a early second-round pick when he was drafted, he currently is a RB30 versus Tony Pollard as a RB28, according to crowdsourcing. So you could get him maybe even cheaper than Tony Pollard. It's going to cost you a late second in 2022, but this is a guy that, maybe he does get injured again, and he finishes as like an RB35 or something. But with you being in a win now window and trying to find upside running backs with this sort of draft capital, I think Miles Sanders is set up perfectly to maybe have a bounce back year.
Yeah. Miles is interesting. I know that it is a very interesting guy, so we'll definitely see what that looks like. My second win now running back, I guess you can kind of take a journey with me as well, as Aaron Jones. He put a lot of bad taste in a lot of people's mouth and with the expectation of A.J. Dillon. And I know this, once again, may sound crazy. And you're right, that the elephant's in the room. A.J. Dillon is there. There's no doubt about it. He's going to be taking touches away from Aaron Jones. But I'm not concerned about the touches. I'm more interested in the targets that Aaron Jones is going to be hopefully acquiring in this year. All right. And I keep saying this. I sound like a broken record. Davante Adams is no longer there. The team, he left 142 targets behind.
Yeah.
I get that. Right. I'm not saying that Jones is going to just take 142 targets. I'm not saying Jones is going to get that amount of targets. But when we really break it down and when we really look into it, Aaron Jones is going to have opportunity in the passing game more than he's ever had before. Okay. Yeah. So hear me out. I'm going to break this down for you, right? Red zone targets, and this is Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. You can probably see on the screen now. Aaron Jones, 9th in targets in the red zone versus A.J. Dillon, 12th. Just targets alone, Aaron Jones was 7th. Dillon was 41st. Total touchdowns, Jones was 8th. A.J. Dillon was 21st. Receptions, Jones was 6th. Dillon was 30th. There is no doubt in my mind that Aaron Jones could lead this team in touchdowns next year. All right. I believe he could be the guy. He's going to be the guy that maybe I keep leaning to. For some reason, I always say, hey, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to lean on somebody who's a vet there. And the first person I think of is Randall Cobb. Actually, one of the best younger vets out there is going to be Aaron Jones. Yeah. Right? He is the guy that has played with him, that has been there, has been his safety blanket, especially when Davante Adams missed games. All right. And I kind of went and looked back just really on one or two games for you, because I'm not going to go through every single game that Davante Adams missed. But week 8 this past year, Davante Adams missed. Aaron Jones, 24 points, 24 fantasy points, over 100 total yards, right? 15 carries. That was his second best performance outside of week 2 when he played
11 targets too.
Yeah, 11 targets outside when he played 40 points against Detroit. If you go back to 2020, there's only 2 games that Davante Adams missed, week 2 and week 3, 45 fantasy points, 6 targets, over 236 yards. And then week 3, 6 targets, 86 total yards, 1 touchdown, 16.6 fantasy points. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be using Aaron Jones heavily. Yes, Christian Watson's there, who Zach always says, and I keep leaning on this, has had one of the highest drop rates in this class. And you draft him and give him to Aaron Jones or Aaron Rodgers that hates when his wide receivers drop a ball. As much as I love Christian Watson, that's what I'm scared of. And then Alan Lazard, he's always been an average wide receiver 2. Now he's currently the wide receiver 3. Dillon can take all the touches in the world. Yeah, I really don't care. I want Aaron Jones to get the passes targets in the air. You know, like I want that. That's what I want. And then maybe the only difficult part about this take is the value, because according to crowdsourcing, he's still worth a first round pick, a late first, 111, 112. I don't want to pay that. I feel like you're paying a premium. All right. If you can have a conversation, talk about anyone out there, I'm willing to do one of these guys in a second. You know, Kareem Hunt, Singletary, and it's going to be hard, kind of like what Zach said earlier about his earlier takes. You know, Michael Carter, Ramondre Steve, any one of these guys.
Gotta have conversations. You got to fight for the trade.
Exactly.
You
have to
keep asking. Yeah.
Even if it's one of these guys and maybe a mid-second, or even if you're happy to give up, you know, the 203, the 204. I don't know how you feel about that, but have those conversations. Get Aaron Jones on your win now team. Once again, this is a guy who's going to be getting the targets, and you can get him, especially in the Dynasty startup. You can get tremendous value. He's going right now, I think he's averaging the 8th round right now. A.J. Dillon's going in the 6th. So 7th to 8th round, you can get A.J. Dillon. I think that's great value for a guy that has been consistent and been finishing at least top 15 with Aaron Rodgers on his side. So I like Aaron Jones a lot.
No, I like the take. I think for a win now team, for sure, it makes a lot of sense. And I think for me, I had Aaron Jones this offseason. No one wanted him. So I don't know that it would take as much as crowdsourcing is leading on.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, win now futuristic teams, if they have Aaron Jones, I mean, maybe they would prefer to take a shot on a Dameon Pierce, a Rashad White, a James Cook. Who knows? So Comment down below, guys. Let us know what you think of these takes.
Yo, what's good?
What
Thanks
up?
for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch
Now,
it.
You can also subscribe
Right now.
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLandFam.